Cool beans. Now it's live. All right. Did it move? No. Marshall Dillon. Heck, come on. All right, there we go. Bloodborne pathogens. What is bloodborne pathogen? Silencio. What is bloodborne pathogen? Blood, bodily fluid type deal. All right, airborne pathogen. Yeah, what would be like an example of an airborne pathogen? Exactly. Water droplets get the water droplet. Somebody sneezes, it gets out, and then you breathe it in. It was in the air. Yeah. I know it sounds pretty gross, but that's the way it is. Bloodborne pathogen are transmitted through contact with blood or other bodily fluids. Okay? Two biggies are hepatitis, especially hepatitis B, and HIV, which causes AIDS. AIDS is not the virus. AIDS is what happens once HIV takes hold. Okay? All right, hepatitis B. Your symptoms. Wow, that went fast, didn't it? All right. This looks like a great listening question. So some of them are the same for HIV and HBV, hepatitis B. Now, has anybody in here got their hepatitis B vaccination? All right. It takes 6 months. You go in, and then you go back in a month, and then you go back in 6 months and get your other vaccination. I'm pretty sure that in Texas, it's now required as part of your immunization records. And if you don't, it's just silly not to get it done. All right. So you've got fatigue, weakness, nauseousness, abdominal pain, headache, fever, jaundice. What is jaundice? Your skin or the white of your eyes start turning yellowish. Yeah, that means your liver is getting sick. So hepatitis B involves what? It involves what? Your yes, your liver. Come on, wake up. I know Super Bowl was exciting yesterday, but this is even more exciting, right? Right? All right, hepatitis B. Possible the virus can go undetected because an infected person will not show any signs, and the disease can be transmitted to others through exposure to blood, or bodily fluids through intimate contact. Comprende? Okay, so you might not even know, but there's Frankie and his girlfriend's got hepatitis B. She's had it for ages, but she's not shown any of the signs, and so here you go, Joey. Here's your present, hepatitis B. Take care. Hepatitis B will eventually end up killing you because you have to live with. You have to have a liver in order to live, right? HBV can survive for a week in dried blood. Did you get that? Got it? So somebody comes in here and they got a cut, and this happens all the time, right? So they're dripping. All right, now it's dried, and you think, oh, nothing's living in there because it's dried. Heck, he did that 3 days ago. Not true. Hepatitis B is a very tough virus. Now, can you kill a virus? No, you can't kill a virus. The virus is going to run its course. Fortunately, for most people, when the flu virus comes, that course ends up to where you're back to being just okay. Okay? But hepatitis B virus, though, when it's run its course just never stops. Its course will continue to have your liver decide that it's just not going to make it. So, bacteria. What about a bacteria? Can you kill bacteria? Yes. That's why you take antibacterials. Okay? But the virus, you can't. You can't kill that virus. Okay. So you don't want to end up getting a virus. Okay, because it doesn't die. So that dried blood that can live a week now, that's why it's so important that things stay clean, and that when we do have somebody come in with a bloody type deal, that we clean it up properly and dispose of it properly and get rid of it. So get the vaccination, given over 3 doses in a 6-month period. It's plain as it's easy. Get vaccinated. Do you know that right now we got an outbreak of measles across the country? You know why? Because their parents don't want their kids to have the vaccine. What do you think now? Holy smokes. Those parents now have kids with measles. Not chicken pox, but measles. Where's what? See, you don't even know about it. Yeah. See, and then when some folks think that they're smarter than what's been established and what's been thought out through science, it helps ruin what goes on. How about like tuberculosis? You ever hear of tuberculosis, lung disease? Used to kill people all the time. Pretty much in the United States, completely eradicated, wiped out in the United States. What happens? Migrant worker comes up from South America and Mexico. They come and they bring their tuberculosis. They go to school, so this kid's got tuberculosis. They get the test. Now they're told to take the medicine. They take the medicine, but tuberculosis that they know that they have, they're not coughing, they're not spitting up blood, etc. So they don't have any pain, and they don't have any symptoms. So they just take it for a month, and then they quit taking the medicine, or they take it for a month and they go back to Mexico, to Central America. It's an airborne pathogen. So what happened to that strain of tuberculosis? No, it got stronger. That kid who now had just, regular old everyday tuberculosis, now what he's done is he's taken enough medicine, but not enough to kill the tuberculosis. So now he just keeps wandering through, and he's passing along now, which is a resistant strain of tuberculosis. So our medicines are not going to be able to cure somebody in the future because of people not thinking. So that's the same with these other viruses. So human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. You ever hear of that? All right, check this out. Worked in a school one time. They had a graduating class of 60. Not the school I was at, but the one up the road. 60 kids are in their graduating class. They had 6 kids in their graduating class who were HIV positive. Well, what's the percentage of that? 10%. All right? 10%. So let's just take those numbers, all right? I think one is that area right there, being that it was such a small school, and it was close enough to Dallas, they could get to Dallas, misbehave, and come back home. Okay? So we're close enough to Houston, misbehave, and get back home, right? So let's just say that we're at the same number. How many people graduating this year's class? You think it's 600? This year's class? That's more than 300. So let's just say there's 400 people. All right, so that would be this year's seniors. Let's say it's 400 kids, right? Next year, 450. So we're at 40 and 45. We're at what? 85 kids, right? So then 500 would be another 50. Where are we at? 145. Okay, so then the next year would have even more kids. So we're at approximately 200 potential HIV people, if those numbers are the same as what it was in that other school, right? That'd be 10% of the population of this school. 10%. Well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 students in here now. So if those statistics were accurate, which I don't believe there are, we're not anywhere clear to 10%. But if those statistics are accurate, right, that would mean one of these people in this room would be HIV positive. Who is it? It's not like they hold a sign up, right? No. Okay? Especially if it's in a stage to where it hasn't gotten to AIDS. So how do you know? Exactly. You don't. So we'll talk about that in a second. There was a guy that I worked with at that school I was telling you about. I was actually in the school itself. Okay? He was the janitor, custodian for athletics. And he was HIV positive. The custodian was. So he's cleaning stuff to make sure stuff is clean, but on the second hand, he's around all these lockers that have like metal edges and so forth. Holy smokes! What can be the danger signs there? Yeah, if he cuts himself, he doesn't get cleaned up properly. What's that? Well, here's the thing: is that he had HIV, not HBV, the hepatitis B virus. How long does it take for the hepatitis B? How long can it last? A week in dried blood, right? What about HIV? No, no, not even though. How about almost instantaneous dies when it hits air? Okay, so the blood drops there. It's starting to degrade right then. Already starting to degrade. So thank God that is part of that virus's profile. It's not as strong and resilient out in the air as what the HBV is. All right, it's a retrovirus. It enters a host cell and it changes your RNA to a proviral DNA replica. So it goes in. It's like a hacker, and it starts changing your gene, your DNA. Says, I don't like that. I don't like the way that is. I want it to be this way. That's pretty far out, isn't it? Estimated 1 in every 100 adult males between the ages of 20 and 49 is HIV positive. So instead of 10%, you're looking at 1%. How many people in the United States become infected each year with HIV? 50,000. So let's go to a town like Waco, Texas. Y'all ever been to Waco? You have? Let's take that town, and right there, every year, half of that town of Waco is now infected with HIV. Every year. Seems to be about a 40,000 for males and 10,000 for women. That's a little less. It's like 38 and 12, but 38,000 for men and 12,000 for women. Brand new infections every year. All right? Estimated that 40 million adults will carry HIV by year 2000. We're way past the year 2000. And we're not even on that deal, are we? Come on. Vaccine. There we are. All right. Holy smokes. I forgot to play with the slides. All right. It says gay and bisexual men are of all races is the number one contractant of HIV. Okay? And are the most severely affected by HIV. We don't go into details as to why, but it says there 1 million are living with HIV in the United States. 1 in 5 living with HIV. Okay, so 1 in 5, 50,000, don't even know it. They don't even know they're living with HIV. So, ignorance is bliss, but at the same time, you need to know what's going on. All right? Unless you don't care about life. All right? Every 9.5 minutes, someone in the United States is getting infected with HIV. So, in this hour, there will be 6 new people. In next hour, there'll be 6 new people. Next hour, guess what? 6 new people every hour. All right, here's the map that shows your highest concentration as far as where you will find those infected with HIV. What does this map show? What can you see? Where's that? Imagine that. What's that? Right there. San Antonio. What's north of San Antonio? Austin. What's this? DFW. Here we are in Miami. Holy smokes. Orlando. Jacksonville, Tampa Bay. Look at Atlanta. LA. San Diego. San Francisco. New York. Washington, D.C. Chicago. Seattle. It is quite a bit of the big cities. What happens to why do people live in the cities? Anonymity. Come on. When you're in, all right, let's say that you're in church, right? A nice small church. You got 200 people in the congregation. Someone gonna stand up and throw an apple? No. But let's go to a pep rally, and you've got 1,500 kids in there, right? Now there's a whole lot more people around you to hide who you are and hide you. What happens in the city? You can behave differently. All right. Also, HIV. We said the number one group of HIV infected people are what? Said yes, gay and bisexual men. Where are the gay and bisexual communities? In the cities, right? Just generally. All right. Ching. All right. So HIV transmitted by exposure to infected blood, or by infected blood or other body fluids, or by intimate relations. Okay. Symptoms. Now, both of these are listing questions. One of them is going to say, what are the symptoms for HBV? And the other is then going to say, what are the symptoms for HIV? Now, some of them are the same. All right. But do you got jaundice with HIV? No, but jaundice would be with HBV because it works on your what? Your liver. Very good. Fatigue, weight loss, muscle or joint pain, painful swollen glands, night sweats, and fever. All right? Those are your 2 listing questions that will be on this test. Yes, ma'am. They might be. If you want them, we'll put them on there. Slow down on where? The drugs that are coming out now are a whole lot better at treating HIV. As a matter of fact, yes, you can slow down its progression. It's a sad thing. Very, very sad. Okay? Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, AIDS. All right? Now, why are we learning this here in this class? And I want you to make sure that it is very serious. Okay? Very, very serious. And if you can take this away, not just in here, but in your relationships, outside of school, you'll make better decisions. So with AIDS, one with AIDS has no defense against even the simplest infections. All right? So common cold, you're going to catch it. You know those that they find with AIDS, if they don't know they have HIV, when they start showing up, it starts showing up with colds that are really, really like weak pneumonia cases. Meaning they go to the hospital, they think they have a cold, they find out they got pneumonia, and they do a culture on that type of pneumonia that they have, and they're going, your body should have fought this off. And they'll get different types of weak cancers, and they're seeing these cancers like little skin cancers and such that show up, and they're going. Most people fight that off, and then they'll take your blood, and then you find out, you're not just HIV, but you got AIDS. So, one with AIDS has no defense against even the simplest of infection. 50% of those infected develop AIDS within 10 years, and um, within 10 years of having HIV. And once AIDS occurs, the life expectancy is about 2 years. All of that is old information, and I would imagine that your life expectancy is longer than 2 years. How about that guy in Dallas? All right, he had HIV, had it through a relationship with a woman, but he was really mad about it. So then he went and dated 10 more women. And the 10 women most of them ended up getting HIV and dying. Go to jail? Yeah. Well, they had relations. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it'll do a number on somebody. Okay? So he is so mad that he's going to die that he generalized it that it's women who did this to me as opposed to an individual. All right? And so he said, I'm going to take out as many as I can. Now, to me, he got put in prison for assault because the people hadn't died. But to me, I think even though if they're not dead, I think that it probably should be a murder case. So, all right, let's talk about how do you prevent. Anybody in here actually want to get HIV? I don't see any hands. No, and yeah, it's not a fun thing. So, number one, safe sex is of major importance. But what's even better than safe sex? Abstinence. Just say no. All right? Just say no. All right? Avoid contact with bodily fluids. That's why you have to have your gloves in your kit all the time. Have them in your pocket. All right? Don't share needles. I mean, I don't know. It might be a personal question. Any of you been using heroin lately? No. Shooting meth?
All the time.
All the time. Honestly, you still have your teeth, so I don't believe you. But obviously, don't share needles. All right, and let's just say that it's not that you do heroin or you do drugs. Don't share a needle with the possibility of somebody who could have done something. All right. So I was working at school in Houston, and a kid came in, and he had a cut, right? And so he comes to me and he goes, and he wants me to help him with his cut. So the first thing I do is I put my gloves on, right? He goes, "What's up with that? You think I got AIDS?" I said, "No, but what if I do?" See, so I turned the entire situation around, and he says, "Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Go ahead and wear the gloves." I said, "There you go." So if somebody gives you a hard time about it, you can take that situation and turn it around. Huh? Well, first off is that you go ahead and start the rumor, defamation of character, blah, blah, blah. We can get into all that fun stuff. All right? Don't share needles. Avoid drugs that impair judgment. What drugs might those be? About just drinking. All right? And you'll see this in your lifetime probably. Somebody who drinks now, all of a sudden, they're 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Okay? Somebody drinks now, you have taken your inhibitions, you've taken your common sense and dulled it, and so now you're doing things that you wouldn't do in the first place. Peer pressure will get you when you take either drugs or alcohol. All right. So now that boy who says, "Oh, I love you, I love you. Why don't you love me back?" And now you little drinking. Okay, I'm going to love you back. It's how it happens. So don't take drugs. These are also, I think, a listing question. Do not have sex with those you know that have HIV. That's a pretty good idea, right? But we already know that at least 10% of them don't know they have HIV. So, but those that do have HIV, don't think that you're immortal and you're going to throw away the HIV virus. All right? Regularly get tested for STDs. What's STD? Sexually transmitted disease. All right? Practice good hygiene before and after sex. You don't need to worry about that because I know that none of you are participating in such. So, anyway, HIV in the athlete. If an athlete is HIV positive, he cannot be discriminated against from playing athletics. He's got just as much right to play athletics as somebody who is not HIV positive. Because then that would be what? That would be prejudice over him, right? Well, I don't know if it had anything to do with his race, but prejudice for sure. All right, protecting others from the risk of infection then is the priority of the trainer and the coach and the officials. That's why they have those rules. If you got blood on your uniform, got to get it off. I don't worry so much about the HIV with blood on the uniform as much as I worry about the hepatitis B. Because remember, the HIV virus is going to die really quick. The hepatitis B is still on there, right? So the likelihood of that happening is at such an astronomical amount of numbers to one that I really don't know if it really needs to even be done. Mandatory screening for HIV cannot, all right, may not be allowed to determine if one can play sports. But what about boxing? Yeah, it can because it's a pretty bloody sport. It can get bloody. Okay, matter of fact, there was a guy in Oklahoma 10, 15 years ago ready to fight. Went and did his blood test. He's HIV positive. Well, the guy on the other side says, I don't think I want to fight you now. Okay? So that fight was canceled. And the other guy, he never got to fight again, obviously. Encourage those that are at high risk to get voluntary anonymous testing. All right? It'll wear on them. But if you know somebody who is an intravenous drug user, is promiscuous lifestyle, tell them, please, at least go get tested. All right? Many states have confidentiality laws where you would not be, and you should be aware of the laws in your state. Obviously, because let's say little Sheila over here, we found out that she had HIV. All right? It's not like me and Miss Bates can like raise up a flag outside and say, I mean, it is very, very hush-hush about what can be shared with coaches, with teammates, with administrators, the whole 9 yards. All right? Actually had at that place where that janitor had HIV, the coach there says, holy smokes, this guy's got more rights than what the rest of the people around him do. And probably so. Well, I mean, if we find out, though, it's not like we're able to just broadcast. You got to find out what the laws are, the privacy laws are in your state. Well, you can't DQ them for it. Disqualify them. Right. And again, like I told you, at that high school that was next to the place I was working, if they had 10%, because they had a relatively small class and they're in a relatively high population of HIV, okay, if just for the craziness, it happened somewhere that you're at, even at a school our size, okay, you're not going to find everybody. So you got to be on your toes. All right? So what are your precautions is remove athlete with bleeding, with a bleeding site from competition or practice. A saturated uniform obviously must be removed and replaced. All right. Commercial products to remove blood from uniforms for small spots. What's that stuff that there's this one stuff. It's pretty expensive. It's like $40 for a pint. Smells really bad. All right? But you got one of the greatest little things over there, and you all carry it in your kit, right? And we know what that is. Your peroxide. Yes. But it's important that you don't just take that and use your hand. All right? Glove up. All right? Like today, cut myself last night cutting some brisket. So that would put me at, that's just enough opening to put me at risk in case some blood came around. All right? Wear gloves. Protect yourself. All right? I haven't met too many folks that just said, hey, I'm not so great about this stuff called life. Time we get done.
There you go.
Good. We'll do one more deal. Precautions. All right? Wrong way. Precautions. Use an anti-germicidal agent for washing your hands immediately after working with blood or body fluid. Dispose of biohazard materials. Now, we don't have biohazard bags because we don't deal with enough blood. Okay? Those little red boxes, and if you have blood, you have to put it in there. All right? And so some people think that the training room is an absolute mandatory place that you're supposed to put any blood in there. How much blood do we really see? You would have to see like a gallon, okay? Like a gallon a week in order to have to, we don't even come close to that.
Have to be like you have to. There has to be so much blood that you would like bring it out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. And just because it doesn't, I mean, just because we don't use the biohazard bags doesn't mean that you need to be haphazard about it. Okay? Remember, put it in there, cover it with one glove, cover it in the other glove, the blood's inside two gloves, goes inside the bag, and if we have something like that we got quite a bit of blood, within that bag is going in another bag and getting all tied up. Okay? You know what I'm saying? So use your precautions. Clean all tables, counters, etc. that might be contaminated, and place biohazard warning on containers. That way people aren't getting in there and saying, oh, who threw something out today? Let's see what's in here. As opposed to knowing that, hey, this might have some blood in it, and I don't know that I need it. All right? Any questions about HBV, HIV? Tomorrow, we're probably going to watch a really gross movie. Okay? MRSA. What is MRSA? Huh?
MRSA is probably
MRSA.
Is it a girl?
Methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. Yes, you'll need to learn how to spell it and spell it correctly.
Can't even pronounce that though.
Methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus.
Like coccus, like cockroach, so I think I got it down.
Okay? So we'll see. If you guys don't normally eat breakfast, go ahead and eat breakfast tomorrow because they're going to be pulling out like this much packing out of somebody's zit tomorrow. And we're going to talk about...
Ew! It's like that woman like sticks like a scissors in there, like cuts of it, and like takes them out, and like. Okay, I'm done.